Welcome to the Veterinary Rehabilitation Podcast, where we aim to help fellow veterinary rehab therapists increase their knowledge and elevate their practice. I'm Megan Kelly.
And I'm Anae Lloyd. Together, we bring you the latest insights, research, and information in the field of veterinary rehabilitation.
This podcast is brought to you by Onlinepethealth, a leading continuing education membership for veterinary rehabilitation therapists. With Onlinepethealth, you'll have access to a wide range of online resources to help you stay up to date with the latest techniques, advances, and trends in the industry.
Our podcast features in-depth conversations with leading experts in veterinary rehabilitation. They share their own experiences and knowledge to help you improve your practice. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out in the field, our goal is to provide you with the tools and the insights you need to succeed.
So join us as we explore the exciting world of veterinary rehabilitation and help you take your practice to the next level. Hey vet rehabbers, today I'm chatting with Shirley about his journey to becoming the practice manager for his wife's veterinary practices. He shares some key strategies that have positively transformed the practice and talks about how starting an online book club has been a game changer for his personal growth. Michael also reveals the valuable insights he's gained and how he successfully applied them to their businesses. If you're not a member already, our amazing online community of vet rehabbers from all over the world gathers in our Facebook groups. And if you haven't joined yet, you can head over to Facebook and request to be a part of the action. Our groups include small animal vet rehabbers, equine vet rehabbers, hydro vet rehabbers, and our business vet rehabbers. Those are the one for those juggling patient care and running your own practices. Now, in these Facebook groups, we regularly share tips, advice, and we host live sessions with experts to support you on your vet rehab journey. A quick word from our sponsors. Nada first developed her courses at the Colorado State University, where she started the medical acupuncture for veterinarian certificate program in 1998. In so doing, Dr. Robinson developed a science-based platform for veterinary acupuncture, the first of its kind. Today, Curacao Vet offers a comprehensive curriculum in integrative medicine with a rational, evidence-supported foundation. Courses include medical acupuncture, photomedicine, botanical medicine, medical massage, and integrative rehabilitation. You can discover Curacao Vet at curacao.org. Right, so over to my chat with Michael. Hey Michael, thank you so much for joining me.
I'm excited to be here.
Michael, why don't you tell the listeners about yourself and how you became the practice manager of a veterinary practice?
All right. Well, the very long story short is that I am married to a veterinarian who decided after 12 years of practice, she decided she wanted to open her own hospital, and she asked me to help her. So I said, what can I do to help? So I'm a school teacher by training. And so I was an agriculture teacher and a 4-H agent. For some of your listeners may or may not know about those programs, but I worked with kids in the 4th grade all the way through 12th grade, helping them learn about agriculture and citizenship, leadership, and life skills. That's my background. I grew up in a small business family. We owned grocery stores, and I always kind of had that entrepreneurial itch, but I never really thought that I would own my own business. My wife never wanted to own her own veterinary hospital. She just wanted to be a veterinarian. But one day she decided that she was ready to do her own thing because she hadn't found the practice where she wanted to retire from. My wife does not like change. That's a good thing for me. But she just hadn't found the place. She did a lot of relief work for a couple of years and never found the place where she thought, this is where I want to work for the rest of my career. So she said she wanted to create that environment herself, and she asked me to help her. So that's how I became a practice manager.
I must say it's the most perfect dynamic. So, because for most of us veterinary professionals, we just want to treat the animals, and running the business and doing the admin side of things and the financial side of things is actually the part that we hate doing, and we always put it off and end up just focusing on the animals. So it's so great to have a partnership where you have one person who's busy doing all of that, and then she gets to just treat the animals, which is where her passion is and what she loves to do. So I think you guys have got a great setup.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are like, oh, husband and wife, I don't think I want to work for that dynamic. I don't see my wife very much during the working day. We started out in 2018. We bought an existing practice, and it was just my wife. We had 3 team members, and I was teaching full time. Today, I have left teaching. I now am exclusively here at the veterinary hospital. We have 5 doctors and about 23 team members. And
Wow.
we just moved into a brand new building, and it's been a really great dynamic. We are pretty good, I think, at keeping family life and work life. There's a boundaries there, and it has worked well for us.
Yeah, that's the juggle, is when you're at
Yeah,
home and you can't be talking about what's happening at work.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but if you're used to it and you set those boundaries and it works, then yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
So you're also super busy doing some other things. You've got a podcast of your own, and so tell us about that.
Yeah, so we have the Family Pet Podcast. It's a podcast for curious pet parents because we believe the more you know about pet healthcare, the better pet parent you can be. So you can tell I've said that a few times, but that podcast came about because I think honestly I think it was because I missed teaching, and I needed some sort of an outlet for educating people. The people now that we were educating are our clients. So we decided to make it was started out as just something that we were going to try to do, see if we liked it. And we had a goal of making 10 episodes for the top 10 questions that are asked in the exam room. And that was how we started. And now we've published over 100 episodes now, and it is still focused. It's a podcast for curious pet parents. It's not branded as Family Pet Health's podcast, although it's called the Family Pet Podcast. There's a little hidden connection there, or vague connection there, but it's truly meant just to educate pet parents. And what we do with that is those are still the most commonly those first 10 episodes we did are still the most commonly asked questions. So now when people come in and they're like, their cat has been diagnosed with diabetes, we can say, oh, you should go and listen to our 25-minute podcast all about feline diabetes. And so it lets the pet parent go home and digest that information at their leisure, at their pace. They can rewind it, listen to it again. And honestly, it saves our team time in the exam room because they know that we have this vetted, curated content out there for them that we trust because it's made with our people or specialists that we've met over the years. And that's the history of the podcast.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that that's the one thing about podcasts is that you can, keep sending them back to them, so,
Correct.
and it's quite easy. You just send them a link, and they can listen to it. They can listen to it in the car. And yeah, and I agree with you. It has to be, if you're going to send somebody to something, whether it be a blog or a podcast, it has to be something that's aligned with the way that you practice. There's
Exactly.
so many
And
different ways to do things. So you don't want to confuse them. And then they come back and they say, oh, what about this? And then that's not something that you recommend or you don't feel that works, then you've got a confused client. So, but I love that you're using your podcast to educate them. Now, one of the things you've also got is a Facebook group for vets. And as you were chatting just before, I actually realized that I'm on the Facebook group.
yeah.
So it's so cool because it's for veterinary professionals basically, and it is a Facebook group for reading books like about business mainly, and then discussing it. So yeah, tell us how that started and a little bit about how that's working.
So part of our hiring process here at Family Pet Health is that we require every applicant to read a book called The Energy Bus before they can come in for an interview. And people are like, what? I'm like, yes, every single person that has ever come in to interview here has read The Energy Bus. It's written by John Gordon, and I highly recommend it for all your listeners.
Energy bus, like BUS.
That's correct. Yep.
Okay.
And it's a 10 rules for fueling your life with positive energy. And in 2019, he released a new book called The Power of a Positive Team. And I was considering having my team read that book as well, but I wanted to read it first. And honestly, I don't really like reading books. Spoiler alert. And so I'm in a Facebook group called the Veterinary Practice Managers United. And I posted it in there. Hey, would anybody read this book with me to make sure I finish it? Because I'm thinking about having my team read it. And this was in January of 2020. And I was hoping for like 4 or 5 people, but about 30 people said that they wanted to read the book. So that's how the book club got started. We read The Power of a Positive Team in January of 2020. And then lo and behold, in March, the world shut down, right? Like we all got
Yeah.
stayed at home and all this. I I required my whole vet practice team to read The Power of a Positive Team, and not long after that is when COVID lockdowns happened. The lessons that we learned in that book like really helped us get through that weird, scary time in our business. And so after we read the Power of a Positive Team in the Facebook group, I said, well, do y'all want to read another book? And we have continued to read books every year. This is our fourth year and our fifth year, I guess. And we've read almost 20 different books. Most of them are business related. Some are, a couple are veterinary specific. And then we also read Matthew McConaughey's Green Lights, which has nothing to do with vet med or business, but it was a fun book to read. And we actually related it to veterinary medicine. So that's been a lot of fun. It's the group is called VLBC, which stands for Veterinary Leadership Book Club. And we have over 3,000 members in the group now. And it's been a really cool resource. And I've learned so many lessons through reading those books that I know I would not have read had it not been for that book club. And some of them, like the book Traction, which I think we're going to talk about a little later, it fundamentally changed my business for the good. And that was not and something from every single book we've read has made a positive impact on our practice.
Yeah. So, I mean, I love what you've learned from these books and what you've implemented into your practice. So I'd love to chat more about them. So tell me, what sort of one of the things, let's talk about traction. So what are the things that you learned from that book that you implemented, and what was the response from your clients?
I think the one cool thing about our story is that my wife, as a veterinarian, like many of your listeners, a real type A planner, right? Very organized and structured. I am the opposite, like 180 degrees from that. So we have these conflicting personalities that when we were when we were in premarital counseling, the counselor said, y'all are like either going to be a case of opposites attract or it's going to be a disaster. And we're like, oh, that's not what you want to hear before you get married. But in our case, it's been the opposites attract. And because we're aware of the differences between us, it's worked out really well. In the book Traction, there was like when I knew that this book was for me, was there's a line in there that says, it talks about a visionary and an integrator. So the person who dreams and then the person who gets things done, right? But neither one of them is successful without the other one. And it talked about in the book, it said, to the visionary, know thyself and be free. It's okay that you have 10 different thoughts a day of ideas, and that's great. That's your superpower. But you have to get things done in order to be successful. And it said to the integrator, know thyself and be stressed. And I'm like, oh yes, this is perfect. And that's when I first was like, okay, this is the book for me. And we continued to read through it. One of the best lessons in the book is it talks about your proven processes and that the things that you do the same way all the time that are fundamental for your business, write those down, systemize them, make protocols for it, and then your brain doesn't have to give it any more thought. It's just automatic so that when something new or novel comes in, you can use your brain power to address that new thing because the standards are already done. They're what they are. In in our exam rooms, every when a client comes in and sits down and we have 10 exam rooms now, in every single exam room, there is a 2 by 3 poster on the wall, framed behind glass, and it says what you can expect during your visit. And expect is an acronym for our core values. And then it has 3 different boxes kind of spread out on the poster with check boxes. And it's things like you get an adaptil or a feel away bandana, so pheromone bandana, a profile picture. We scan for a microchip. We rate a body condition score. We get a weight. So it's all these different things that we do every single time someone comes in for an appointment, and we check them off the list. So everybody knows, no matter who your doctor is, no matter who your assistant is, no matter who your licensed technician is, the customer is going to get the same experience every time. And now it's that the core experience, right? And then everybody is different, right? But the proven process for family pet health appointment is on the wall, and we check it off every single time. And it helps our clients know what to expect. It helps our team remember what to deliver for the client. And at the end, we encourage people to take a picture and post it on social media. Hey, post this that you went to the doctor today. And so that's a little bit of marketing as well.
Yeah, I love it. And then it's also consistent experience for the clients. And I think this is somewhere where, a place where veterinary practices are a little bit behind times. I think that we have a very similar type, most practices have a very similar type client experience. But people like consistency. People want to know what they can expect. And if they get something once, so let's say you have a vet that goes above and beyond and does a whole lot of other things, the next time they come, they see somebody else and they don't do those things. Then what happens to the client's perception? Disappointment.
Correct.
I was expecting that and I didn't get it. So when you have a list of what they can expect and they get all of it, they're satisfied because that's what they're going to get. They know what they're going to get and they get it. When you have this inconsistent approach, and that if you leave it up to the veterinarian as to what they're going to do and what they're going to measure, then it's all over the place. Then you're going to have unhappy clients, right? And most of the time, they're not voicing that they're unhappy. And I can't remember what book I read. There was like a percentage, and I remember it was like so small. Like if you've got like a whole lot of unhappy clients, like literally a quarter of them are going to ever even say something on an email.
Right.
And then even less are going to actually say something in person. So they might just mention it in an email or something like that. But most of the people, so like the majority of the people who are upset about or dissatisfied with your service, are just going to keep quiet. They don't say anything because they don't want to, but they're just sitting there thinking, oh, that actually wasn't that great, And what we want is this consistent experience, and we want to definitely manage their expectations. So whatever they're expecting, manage. And if there's any time that we can shine above that, we will. But you definitely want to always manage their expectations. You don't want this inconsistent approach where, you're hitting it with some and then not with others.
It is so important, I think, to that end. Take every opportunity you have to set expectations. One of the places that I have a love-hate relationship with is Google reviews. So because clients can say whatever they want to on there, and it's really hard to get things that aren't true taken down, right? And so it can be really easy to get mad about that and just go off on Google on that person. I had somebody that called our office the other day, and then they didn't get the answer that they wanted, and they had never been to our office before, but they called, didn't get the answer they wanted, and went straight to Google and left a 1-star review. And I'm just like so mad about that. But so I just went to Google and I responded. And I think it's really important that your listeners respond to every single Google review that's left, whether it's a 5-star or a 1-star. And remember that you're not writing to that person who left the review. You're writing to the people that are going to be coming to learn more about your office and reading the reviews. So and everybody starts at 1-star reviews. So remember that. So how you respond to those reviews tells potential customers a lot about you and your practice and how you respond to things. So that person, I said, hey, we wish you the best of luck finding a veterinarian. And that was all I said to that person. And then I said to the next one, to everyone reading 1-star reviews, let me tell you about Family Pet Health and why we're different. Why do we charge what we charge? Because we do these things, boom, 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 boom. And I said, make sure when you're calling around that you're comparing apples to apples, and ask them about these things when you're making that decision. And by the way, we give free tours here at Family Pet Health, so call us for a free tour sometime. And so take those opportunities to set expectations of what's acceptable and what's not. Our practice is not for everybody. And that's okay. We can't be the veterinarian for everybody in our town. There's too many people. So I would rather spend my time educating and attracting the right clients to our office.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. And the Google reviews, like you say, I mean, that person didn't even come there.
Yeah.
It actually blows my mind. Like, I mean, who would just call somewhere and then go and spend the time to go onto a Google review? It's actually just spiteful. Those people are just mean.
Correct. They just had a bad day.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yes.
take it out on you. Let's chat about your email marketing. So because you've got quite an interesting onboarding experience for your clients, even from the time that they've made an appointment. And this is something I think that definitely in veterinary we are behind. I mean, if you think about, a lot of the I think mainly about the online things, because they have all this onboarding and they just got it nailed, haven't they? Like, say for example, Amazon,
Mhm.
from when you're looking at something, you might get an email with you haven't finished, you had put that in a in your cart or whatever, to like from when you booked and now it's coming and all the things, and then give you the review, and so multiple emails that are all completely automated. And it's such a lot of work in the beginning to set it up, but once it's set up, there's so much information that you can prepare the client for, and to help them to make sure that they know where the practice is or whatever. So chat to us about your onboarding process and how you set it up, and if you're using a specific software that we should know about.
So I'll just kind of run through the client experience. Let's say that people are out there and for whatever reason they have finally made their way to familypethealth.com. And this is from one of the books that we read in the book club called Marketing Made Simple. And it goes along with a book called Story Brand. And both of them are written by Donald Miller. So when you go to our website, it's pretty simple. At the very top right, because that's the way we look at these websites, right? At the very top right, it says schedule appointment. And literally, people can click on that. We use Vetstoria, and they can click on that, and it takes them, they can literally schedule their appointment 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They can schedule an appointment. So it's super easy to do it. When you think about Amazon or any of these online platforms, it's easy. People go and they'll even spend more money online if it's easy. And so we want it to be very easy to schedule an appointment with us. So they click on that, it takes them to another page where they're going to pick the type of appointment that they need. And then the computer is integrated with our practice management software. It finds the open holes and it puts them there, right? And then that triggers the next part. So we're going to send them emails ahead of time that welcome them to Family Pet Health. We're glad that they're coming to see us. In order to help us be prepared to take great care of you and your pet, we need you to fill out these forms. Our history form is online. It's all fill in the blank. It's mobile friendly. It's desktop friendly. It's easy. And it's easy for us to read because it's printed, right? Instead of their chicken scratch on a piece of paper while they're here in the lobby. Well, we don't actually have seating in our lobby, but let's say they're sitting in their car trying to fill out paperwork. But so they fill that out on online. They send that back to us. Our doctors can look at it. If there's a records request or if we need records from another vet hospital, we get those as a part of the visit or the forms. And then the last thing is we actually have a video that we send them that shows them and explains our check-in process. I mentioned we do not have seating in our lobby. We have a lobby, but it doesn't have any seating in it. We either get people straight into an exam room or they wait in their car, and they're happy to do that because the lobby is like the most stressful place in the vet hospital. And we were able to use the square footage that we would have set aside for seating. We have 2 extra exam rooms instead. So it keeps things moving. So they can watch a video that explains like driving up to our office, how they're going to pull into their spot, check in, call the number. They can either go straight into their exam room from the parking lot because our exam rooms have outdoor patio seating and doors right to the parking lot, or they might be guided through the lobby to check in there. So it sets up like this is what we're going to do. And if they don't do that, because sometimes people don't watch those videos or read the emails, right? Then we guide them to do the right things. But like you said, if we've sent out the email but we don't get anything back, then we have it automated to send out a follow up until they get it confirmed and the form submitted.
And then what other emails are they getting? So, I mean, that's great. So they just know exactly what to expect when they get there. I love the idea of the video, just explaining everything. And also when you're speaking on it, they hear your voices and they maybe see people on it. And then so when they get there, they actually feel like, well, we actually know
Oh
this
yeah, I know
place.
you.
They've
Yep,
never
yep.
been there. So It's a subtle way of actually making them feel so much more comfortable when they're
Yeah.
there.
And
Um,
I would tell the listeners, it doesn't have to be a professional video. I did ours with my phone. Okay. It you can do it with just your cell phone. That's a great video camera. And but like you said, just use your people and your space in your marketing because customers will feel like they already know you when they get to your office for the first time. Um, After the appointment, some of the other emails that we use, after every appointment, we send home a report card, which has a summary of the appointment and any recommendations that were made, diagnosis, links to find out more information about diagnosis. We have those on that post-appointment report card as well.
is that
Uh,
automated from your note-taking software, or does somebody have to?
yes, so we have templates, and so everything is kind of in the template is normal. So if everything's normal, then everybody gets the same um, email, right? It's a kind of like a form email. But if something is abnormal, then the doctors can type in any specific notes that they have. We are working right now trying out some of the different AI transcription services so that it summarizes our appointments in real time and so we're still trying that out as a way to get doctors out of here on time so that they're not doing notes all night long. But yeah, that's it's a blend of automation and customization per the appointment.
And then after they get the reports, if they have to have a follow-up, do you have emails that happen with that automated, or is it also somebody having to send those?
So let's say that when you get home, we allow texting. So we use Pet Desk and Vetstoria, um, and uh, and Whisker Cloud's our website company. So it's all kind of integrated together. They can go through Pet Desk on the mobile app and just send us text messages or email us straight from their phone if they have specific questions. We will answer a lot of things through text and email, but sometimes it requires picking up the phone. And so we'll use the texting to set up a time for a phone call and sometimes we charge for that. Sometimes it's like, hey, this is going to need a 15-minute licensed technician consult or a 15-minute doctor phone call. We're going to need you to pay for that to get these questions answered in more detail. Sometimes it's not charged and sometimes it is. It's case by case basis on that. But that's how we communicate back and forth post appointment.
And that's it. So you've got an app for your practice, right? And so when they message on there, it comes into software and it says the client. And is there a little app where they can go into who the patient is, or do you have to then ask them which dog are you talking about, or is it
Oh
automatic?
no, yeah, it's all automated. Even when they make a phone call to our office, it pulls up their account on the screen.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah, so when they're texting back and forth, we know exactly who it is and who their pet is. Yep. So so we may have our desktop version of Pet Desk has the texting coming in. So we'll leave those texts. So the people that are working that case will take care of archiving it when they're done with it. So, there
Okay.
may be 5 or 6 messages open at any time that people are having active text conversations with.
Yeah. And is that the email sequence, or are there any more emails?
I think that's it
Yeah.
on our email sequence. We do get people get reminders, obviously, leading up to their appointment, which are text and emailed until they confirm. They will get both until they confirm. So we send it out, I think, a week ahead, 2 weeks ahead, a week ahead, and then 3 days ahead, 2 days ahead, one day ahead until they. So usually on that 2 day, if we haven't heard from them, we're going to pick up the phone and say, if you don't call by the end of the day today, we're releasing your appointment slot. But it has really cut down on our phone calls the time that we're spending on the phone has really been cut down with that. It
Yeah.
works
No,
great.
that's great.
Yeah. People like it. I mean, that's how I do not pick up the phone to schedule a dentist appointment, a hair appointment. Although, yeah, I do actually go to a barber every now and then, but those things are all automated in my own life. The groomer for my dogs, all that's done through text messages and emails. Our clients are used to it. Don't be afraid of it. Use it in your vet practice, and your clients will thank you for it. And your team, your support team, will really thank you for it, because they don't want to get trapped on a phone call when somebody's trying to book an appointment, right? Just use technology to your advantage. It will make your life much easier.
Yeah, and I think everyone's about convenience now, right?
Mm.
I actually was on my husband's website the other day, and I was like, "There's no, you've got WhatsApp, right?
Oh yeah,
WhatsApp,
yeah.
yeah."
Mhm.
I was like, "There's no way that somebody can message you straight from your website. Like, no little, sometimes there's just a little like chat box, that box that comes up, or WhatsApp, go to WhatsApp or whatever." I said, "There's no way." They said, "They'll just pick up the phone." So I said, "But I don't want to pick up the phone." So
Right.
like, I'm going to website. I don't want to speak to somebody. I just want to get my question answered. So I just want to say, "Hi, this is the question I have. Give me the answer." I don't want
Right.
to have to explain everything. It's the last thing I feel
Yeah.
like doing. And so he was like, "Really?" And he was like, "And you're my ideal target audience." I was like, "Yes." So anyway, and then he sent me a picture from his website with a little WhatsApp where you can chat. So that by the end
Nice.
of the day, he had WhatsApp chat on his website. So
And I would
he did
tell
that.
people, going back to expectations that we talked about earlier, we have it automated. So if you send us a message on any platform after hours, you get an automated response that says, "Our office is currently closed. We will respond back tomorrow morning when we open." So you don't feel like if you put that on your website and you started getting messages on your phone, you don't have to answer them if you're off work, okay? But you need to explain that. You need to make sure that it's sent to your clients so that they're not sitting there waiting, because they're like, "Well, I sent you a message at 10:30 last night." And you're like, "I was in bed." And they're like, "Well, it didn't say that." So if you leave that open, you need to make sure that it's automated to give them a reply about when they can expect a reply back.
I remember when I was working as a veterinarian on the Isle of Wight in the United Kingdom, and we were on call there. And I was on call from Thursday night, go to work on Friday. I'd be on call on Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night. I was the young new vet, so I got the worst one
Yeah.
4 days in a row. And I used to get these calls at like 1 o'clock in the morning. I'd be fast asleep and I'd hear the phone ring and I'd think, "Oh gosh, it's a carving," or something like that. And she was just a little old lady. She said, "Hello, I'd like to make an appointment for next Wednesday at 2 o'clock." And I'll be like, "Oh no, this is the emergency line. Like,
Yeah.
you can't make appointments." She says, "Why?" She says, "You're there 24/7." I said, "Yeah, but this is for emergencies. I'm actually at my house. I'm not at the practice now. I
Yeah.
don't have access to the computer." And she'd be like, "Oh, I'm
Oh.
sorry." She was there. So they used to think we used to sit there, and not once, multiple times,
Oh
people
yeah.
at crazy hours trying to make appointments. But I'm glad that you actually mentioned that about the after hours, because I think that's one of the things where we've got to be really careful about setting boundaries, because what you don't want to do is sometimes answer and then sometimes not.
Right.
So I think that there, as long as you've made provision, if there is an emergency, there is somebody that can help them. So obviously, if you are the person, that only person who can help them in emergency, you have to answer. But if there is a place they can go or somewhere else they can go for emergencies, then you actually better not to answer, because what happens is if you answer one day at 10 o'clock when you're just about to get in bed and you think, "Oh, let me just answer this, I don't have to do it tomorrow morning," then that specific client expects to get her questions answered every single time she takes, and then will get irritated when you don't. Okay,
That's
so it's the
right.
same thing about the consistency. And what we tend to do, and I did this in my practice. So when I first started my practice, I was a one-man just practice. So, and I had a smaller clientele. I was trying to grow it. I was trying to keep everyone happy. And you tend to sort of let people overstep the boundaries, or you haven't even formed the boundaries with them because
Right.
you don't know yet. And you're just like helping everyone anytime. "Yeah, come down, just come straight down. I'll wait for you." And you're just trying to keep everyone happy and try and build your practice. And then you get busier and busier and busier, and then you start to realize, like, I don't have a life anymore, and I literally just missed my 30th birthday party because of this client. And you start to realize this is actually not sustainable for me. And then you set the boundaries in place, and then you get pushback, and you
Yeah,
get
right.
angry with you when you then set the boundaries. So my recommendation is to you guys, if you're starting out, just set the boundaries from the beginning. Like, start how you wish to finish. And I'm sure there's a book about that too. But yeah, just really don't go like think, oh, I'm just going to help everyone whenever, and then start trying to change things, because as we know, like, people don't like change.
Right.
So as soon as you start to change things, then they get upset, and then they start saying horrible things and leaving horrible one-star Google.
That's right. Yep.
So one of the things you mentioned in your practice is if you've got some QR codes that you've got on a sheet. Tell us about that.
So, kind of similar to the podcast, we also decided to make a sheet that stays in our exam room that covered the 11 most commonly asked questions in the exam room. So it really matched up with that podcast. So we have it's a front and back color. It looks professional. It's professionally done, and we laminated it. And each thing, so there might be heartworms is a big problem in our area. So you can find heartworms on this little QR sheet and scan it, and it's going to take you to our website where we have the most up-to-date information about heartworm treatment, prevention, any outbreaks, things like that that we're seeing in something. It's going to be on that website. There's obesity, vaccinations, allergies. I think obesity. I think I just said that. But there's all these different OA is on there. So all of these different things that clients want to learn more about, we have those QR codes there that they can scan while they're waiting in the exam room. I'd rather, if they're going to be on their phone, which we all know they're going to be, we would rather them be learning about what we're there for versus scrolling TikTok. So unless they're watching our TikToks about veterinary medicine, yes. So that's it's a neat tool that I would recommend all of your, like, I know your kind of niche there is working with rehab and physiotherapy and things. So that is not a common like most pet parents do not have a common understanding of what you all do. So all they know is their dog had a TPLO surgery and now they're coming to you for some rehab, and they're confused and they're wondering how much this is going to cost and what are you going to do when you take their dog away from them. So answer those questions to put them at ease and educate them at the same time so that you don't have to teach them as much. Like in the exam room, you can be like, watch this video. And so when your technicians are loading the room, they can say, hey, you're here for this procedure today. Scan this QR code. You're going to watch a 3-minute video where Dr. So-and-so is going to explain it all to you. And we're going to be right back in here so while they're waiting, they're going to watch your team in your practice, see exactly what's going to happen to their pet. And I think that it's brilliant to really, again, educate. It's a prime example of using educational tools to help your life be easier as the provider of the veterinary services.
Love it. Love it. So is there anything else from the books that you've read that you've implemented in the practice that you'd love to share with us?
Oh man, there's so much. One of the most challenging books that we read was a book called Inclusify, and it talks about diversity, equity, and inclusion, right? And it talks a lot about unconscious bias. Well, I didn't think I had any biases. Well, of course I didn't, because they're unconscious. I didn't know that I did, right? So one of the changes that we made when we're hiring, we, as best we can, blind the applications. So we take off, like, let's say we were hiring a new veterinarian and we had a bunch of applications come in. I or somebody on my team will take those applications and remove, kind of scrub it for anything that would identify much about the candidate, so that we're trying to compare applications evenly, right? So it's not, well, they went to my school, my alma mater, they were a graduate of the same vet school that I went to, so clearly we need to hire that person. So it removes all of that, because we don't even know that bias is coming into our hiring process. So that was a really good book. So that was one change that we made. One of the best books that we read recently was called Radical Candor, and it's how to be a kick-ass boss without losing your humanity. And
Mhm.
when you talk about how to have difficult conversations with people, accountability, how do you instill accountability across your team without sounding like a micromanaging jerk, right? So
Yeah.
that was a really good book. I highlighted more in the first chapter of that book than I think I've ever highlighted before. So that was written by Kim Scott. That's a really good book. So there's just so many, like every single book, there was something that I learned that made a positive impact at the hospital. So people can go to it's a Facebook group, so you do have to be on
Yeah.
Facebook for it, but you just do a search for VLBC, Veterinary Leadership Book Club. You can find a list of all the books that we've read, and you can use the search function to see all of the discussion questions for that specific book. We do it week by week and chapter by chapter. So it's a good way if people want to go through there and catch up, they
Yeah.
can do that.
I love it because, I think one of the things with these books is sometimes when you read them, you have an epiphany moment.
Yeah.
And they're things that you learn. And then I think, definitely with me, what I've found is I then need to go through the book again. And then I need to actually take out and have some like action points that I'm going to, because you can't take everything from the whole book. And for me, I have this thing. If I read a book or I watch a webinar or a training or a video, a YouTube video, whatever, if I learn one thing, it was worth it. That's it for me. I just need to learn one thing. If I don't learn one thing, then I'm a bit like, I wasted my time. But just one thing, if I learn that. So often it's just one thing, but sometimes there's multiple things that you can implement. So I love it that you go through it, because I think that that's the process of me sitting afterwards going, okay, what am I going to do? And
Yeah.
sometimes, you'll read a book and somebody else might actually interpret it in a way that you go, oh, actually,
Yeah.
that makes more sense now. Like
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
I
For
understand.
sure.
But before I actually thought I did, but I really actually didn't.
There's
So going through it with people is such a cool way. So I haven't, and I'm going to be 100% honest, I haven't been an active member of your group. But I have decided now I'm going to go in there and make sure that every single notification I get, and
good.
I'm going to read all those books with you. A lot of them I've actually read. So Traction I've read, but you've given me some great ideas of some other
There's
ones.
another there's I think everybody should read Traction. Another book that I think everybody should read is Radical Candor. And the final book that I would say all of your listeners need to put it maybe even at the top of their, if you're talking to practice owners or leaders here on your show, there's a book, it's veterinary specific. It's called Lead to Thrive, and it's written by Josh Weissman, who is it talks it's a he is a really I think he calls himself a positive change ninja. Okay, so it's all about positive psychology, and it is a great book to you can at the end of each chapter it has actionable steps. So it tells you these are the things after reading this chapter, this is what you need to do after you read this chapter. So it summarizes the chapter and then it gives you some action steps at the end of each chapter. And it is related specifically to veterinary medicine. He's kind of really synthesized all of the education and research it's research based, which I really like in the veterinary space and in positive psychology and how you can apply it specifically to a veterinary hospital. So if you are struggling with turnover, burnout, maybe just an unhealthy work environment in your veterinary practice setting, you should read Lead to Thrive. It's a must read as far as I'm concerned for all veterinary professionals.
Awesome, Michael. Thank you so much. And it's been
Yeah.
so great chatting to you about this topic. And I love what you're doing, the customer experience that you're giving. And I really hope, and I'm sure it has inspired the listeners to start implementing some things into their practice. And what I'd like to say to you guys is start looking at the things that actually, that you notice about other businesses and start thinking, how can I implement the same type of customer experience in my practice? Because we tend to do the same things over and over again. Like veterinary practices all around are the same, but there are a few that are standing out. So like family pet health, they start to say, okay, well, we're not going to do the same. And for example, not having seats in your waiting room, that's something completely different. It actually is. Here's a book for you, Talk Triggers. Have you read that one?
What's it
Talk
called?
Triggers by Jay Bauer. Talk Triggers. So
Okay.
your lobby is a talk trigger, because a talk trigger is basically something that makes you stand out from everyone else, and it's like an intentional thing that you do that creates word of mouth.
I'm gonna
So
add that to my shopping cart, so
yeah,
I'll check
yeah.
that one out.
It's great. I mean, a lot of what we do in veterinary practice, like, and how we get clients, is through word of mouth. So this is about being a little bit more intentional about it. And so it's basically creating something that makes people talk about you. So they might say, oh, that practice that doesn't have a waiting room, or something like that, so and there are different things you can do. You don't even have to have one. You can have like multiple small things, but you need one big one that's going to be like,
Yeah.
wow, so those are, and it comes a lot into the customer experience. It's supposed to, ideally you'd love it to enhance their experience, so it's something that makes it easier for them. So
Right,
anyway,
there you go.
and
That
that's
word
really,
easy again. That word easy again's coming up. And
yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's what we all want. We want to feel special when we're there, and we're paying money for services, and we want to be feel appreciated. And so does our veterinary team. I think when you can align up expectations on both sides, it helps you be a lot more successful. So thank you for letting me join your show. I hope that I've provided some value to your listeners. And if people want to contact me, the easiest place is just go to familypethealth.com, and you can find all of our contact information there.
Awesome. We'll put the link to that and the Facebook group in the
Excellent.
show notes.
All right.
Awesome,
Thanks.
Michael. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please hit the subscribe button so you get notified every time I load a new podcast. I'm here every week talking to vet rehab therapists from all over the world about all things vet rehab. A big thanks to our sponsor, Curacore Vet. Their sponsorship allows us to be able to give this podcast to you for free, so please go and check them out at curacore.org. Please also don't forget to bookmark the next Vet Rehab Summit. It's on Saturday the 8th of November in 2025. Come and be a part of the world's largest online veterinary rehabilitation conference created specifically for you, the vet rehabber community. Online Pet Health members, you get VIP complimentary access to the Vet Rehab Summit. For more information about continuing education for vet rehabbers, you can go to onlinepethealth.com.